Today on PimFim, things keep looking up. This is Chris. Let's go. I had another good weekend. No news quite as cool as a job interview or we got an apartment, but Lauren and I had a really nice craft fair at an event I wasn't sure was going to go great for us. We signed up for a booth at the Georgetown Carnival kind of last minute. And of course, I'm saying we because I go to all these things, but Lauren signed up. Lauren found out about it. The thing that made me hesitant, and made Lauren hesitant too, was the fact that it was run by Oddmall. But Oddmall were the people that still had spots available at this large carnival that has sections put on by different groups. And we decided, the most of the organization is being put on by someone else. Oddmall just kind of runs this little strip of it. It should be good, since organization has been the problem that we've seen with Oddmall in the past. And it was. It was really fun. We made pretty good money. I think what was really interesting about it was just getting to talk to other people who had vended at different Oddmalls in the past, and them saying, yeah, it's been hit or miss recently. When we went to the last one, which was in December, we were hearing some pretty bad things. They had a show that was supposed to happen in November that got pushed into January, and the December show didn't go well, and people were mumbling like, it seems like a problem. And this time we were hearing from the people who stuck with them, actually that January show went great. The December show, not so much, but the January show went great. And there was another show in Monroe that apparently went really well for at least a couple of vendors as well. Mixed into those stories was a couple of not great shows, but we were learning, okay, so these events are going well, these events aren't. We should probably pay more attention to Oddmall in the future, or at least keep paying attention to them. I think Lauren's still paying attention to them. I'd pretty much written them off. And what we learned at this event was we shouldn't write them off. They're not going to be 100% successful all the time, like, say, Geekcraft, who we do trust to organize a good event and always have a successful event that they put on. But Geekcraft is starting to get a little too successful for, our own good, because they're charging too much for their events now. But Oddmall is still affordable, and yeah, hit or miss, but it seems to be something that we can strategically attend. But I want to talk a little bit about the Georgetown Carnival, because it was a really cool event, and I'd never been or even heard of it before. Georgetown is in an interesting space right now. Georgetown seems to be the new Capitol Hill, the place that was run down and got a really bad reputation. But as other places in Seattle started to get more popular and more pricey, people start to move away to these hipster locations. And Capitol Hill was that for a long time. It really got this reputation as the alternative space. And to be sure, there's a lot of places that still are kind of holding down that reputation. But also, Capitol Hill in the last few years has gotten a reputation as a place where a lot of hate crimes are committed, especially against queer people, because the more traditional party community is going out and partying, and then when there's gay stuff thrown in their face, they get mad and start punching people. And I have a couple friends who have experienced this firsthand, and that sucks. It's really kind of ruined Capitol Hill for me, just knowing that that is something that kind of lurks beneath the surface at this point. And apparently, Georgetown is starting to become what Capitol Hill used to be. It's becoming the trendy place for artists and, just alternative people to go and live, and that's mostly because it's the cheaper area. When I lived in Seattle, Georgetown had a few interesting places, but not a lot. And as I was just walking around looking at the different booths, I was also seeing storefronts and realizing that place looks cool. That place looks interesting. And it's definitely somewhere I'd like to spend a little bit more time. It definitely is a pretty trendy spot right now. I had some incredible ice cream that was just the most hipster flavor in the world. It was rose apricot almond flavored with a little bit of cardamom mixed in. And honestly, I think it was the best ice cream I've ever had. It was this wonderful texture, but also just the flavor was mild and complex. You could really taste all the things that they said were in it, and that was something I'm not used to getting with ice cream. I'm used to ice cream being a very bold, strong flavor of something or another, and this was by far easily the most interesting ice cream I've ever tasted and enjoyed. And again, I think probably the best ice cream I've ever had. There was a lot of really weird stuff going on at this carnival because it was a carnival, not just a craft show. And that was really fun. There were performances going on, lots of live music, live performances of acrobatics and juggling, stuff like that. But also just some weird, pointless stuff that was really cool. There was a aerial garden, just hanging pots that got constructed while the show was going on, and I believe intentionally so. I don't think they showed up late. I'm pretty sure the point was for it to be constructed while everyone was there and they could watch it be constructed. There was a weirdly complex bit of machinery that was basically just burning prints into wood that people could have, and I think was free, or at least didn't charge very much. And that was really cool, just to watch this production line of people who were having a blast, just getting a fire started in a little furnace, and then getting this big piece of machinery set up and slamming it down. It was very much a performance, and probably a lot more complicated than it needed to be to accomplish the task, but that was the fun of it. It was so clearly homemade, and again, it was a performance. It was just really the type of event that's so much fun to be at, and I was, lucky that it's mostly Lauren's stuff, and so I took a few laps around and got to look at everything. It's the type of event that's so fun to be at that you love to go back, but you always kind of feel like, man, I sort of wish we weren't vending. I sort of wish we could just be experiencing all of these things. But, of course, getting to be there and making money at the same time is a pretty sweet gig. Also, there were beer gardens. 2 beer gardens. One was Elysian Beer, one was Georgetown Brewery, which are like 2 of my favorite breweries, and they were selling $6 pints in a beer garden. That's unheard of. What's going on? How does Seattle have this super cheap beer garden beer? I go to these things expecting to pay $6 for like a Coors Light. That was weird. And that's going to be the dumb last thing I say in this video. Future me, this was probably the coolest new craft show we've gone to this year, although I guess Urban Unglued we got introduced to this year, and that's a cool community. What are some new cool craft communities or just one show that you've discovered this year?